and prosthodontists. Today's topic is investment material and casting procedure. What is an investment? Where it is used for? An investment is a modified gypsum product and it is used in a procedure called casting. So before jumping into the investment material in detail, we must know what is the casting, what are the sequential steps in a casting procedure. Casting is a procedure where a molten metal or an alloy is flowed into a mold space to get a desired prosthesis. So what are the various steps in casting and where does this investment material plays a role in this casting procedure to fabricate a prosthesis? The first step in casting procedure is tooth preparation, making an impression, pouring a cast, fabricating a die, form a wax pattern out of it, and you invest the wax pattern in a casting ring. This is your casting ring, and you invest the material. This is your investment material, plays a role. It comes in the casting procedure. After investing, it is casted, made into a desired prosthesis. We finish it, polish it, and then cementation of the final restoration happens. So why we must know about this investment material? What is the importance of it? Investment material promotes expansion of the mold space during the casting procedure. What is the composition of this investment material? How do you classify investment material? As I already mentioned, investment is a modified gypsum product. So when I say a modified gypsum product, the first ingredient is the binder. The second ingredient is a refractory material and the third ingredient is a modifier. Binder, it could be either a gypsum or a phosphate or ethyl silicate. The function of a binder, it binds the refractory material and other modifying agents to form a set mass. Moving on to the second ingredient, refractory material. These are allotropes of silica. There are 4 types of silica available in dentistry: quartz, tridamite, fused quartz and cristobalite. Out of these 4, cristobalite and the quartz are the commonly used silica material in dentistry. The reason behind it is it promotes greater amount of expansion compared to the other allotropes of silica. Out of these 4, cristobalite plays a major role in the expansion of the investment. Moving on to the modifiers, the third ingredient. Certain modifiers like boric acid and sodium chloride are added. This also promotes expansion of the investment. With that, the traces of carbon and copper are added to the investment material, which acts as a reducing agent. Based on this ingredient, binder, refractory material and the modifying agents, based on the binder content, the investment material are broadly classified into 3 types. Gypsum bonded investment material if the investment binder has a gypsum in it. Phosphate bonded investment material if the investment binder is the phosphate. And if the binder is ethyl silicate, you call that material as ethyl silicate bonded investment. In today's class, we will be discussing in detail about gypsum bonded investment material and why all these investment material must promote expansion. What is the reason behind it? Why you need this amount of expansion during the casting procedure? This is because during casting, 2 shrinkages will happen. One is the wax shrinkage. The wax pattern which you make, when solidifies, it contracts. So there happens a wax shrinkage. Another mode of shrinkage is your metal shrinkage. The alloy which you used for casting, once it solidifies, it contracts. So when this wax and the metal shrinks, your casting size may shrink. So to avoid this undersized casting, we need some material which promotes the expansion so that you get a proper fit of a desired prosthesis you fabricate. So this investment material promotes expansion of the investment to compensate for this shrinkage, that is your wax as well as your metal shrinkage. Going on to the ideal requirement of an investment material. An investment material must be easy to handle. It must have an adequate working time, setting time. The most important function, it must promote all sorts of expansion, and it must be porous enough to allow free escape of gases so that your casting is smooth. It must withstand the high temperature of heated furnaces as well as the casting procedure, and most importantly, it must be cost effective. The gypsum bonded investment, based on the expansion it undergoes, you classify them as type 1, type 2 and type 3. What are the various expansion and investment material undergoes? The various types of expansion are normal setting expansion, hygroscopic setting expansion and thermal expansion. Gypsum bonded material, based on this expansion, it divides itself into type 1, type 2 and type 3. Type 1 and type 3 undergoes thermal expansion and type 2 undergoes hygroscopic setting expansion. So let us discuss in detail about this expansion. What is normal setting expansion? In a gypsum product, when you mix a gypsum product, it sets. It forms crystal growth. The crystals interlock and intermesh. Now, the investment material, which is a modified gypsum product, so along with the gypsum product, you have something called silica. The function of this silica is, it prevents the interlocking and intermeshing of the crystals. So, it promotes further crystal growth. That's where the expansion happens. So, the normal setting expansion for a type 1 investment, which undergoes expansion predominantly by thermal expansion. Type 1 gypsum bonded, please remember, it undergoes expansion by thermally. So, amount of expansion allowed is 0.6%. What are the factors which are responsible to control this normal setting expansion? One is the water powder ratio, the effect of spatulation, the rate of spatulation of your investment material, and the temperature of the water what you use for mixing the investment material. Moving on to hygroscopic setting expansion, which is the type 2 gypsum bonded investment material which undergoes or promotes hygroscopic setting expansion. This is similar to the hygroscopic setting expansion which happens in the gypsum products. So, here also, along with the gypsum product, what you do is, when the investment is half set or during its initial set, you immerse the casting ring in an added water. So, you allow the expansion to happen in presence of water. So, what happens? What does this added water does to the investment material? The crystals which have grown, this water will add on and it will further promote the expansion little more, avoiding the interlocking and intermeshing of the crystal. So, the hygroscopic expansion which is achieved is much greater than the normal setting expansion. As I mentioned, the normal setting expansion is up to 0.6% for type 1. For a type 2 investment, if you see, the hygroscopic setting expansion varies in the range of 1.2% to 2.2%. So, such a difference from the normal setting expansion. If you allow the same expansion to happen in presence of water, the expansion is twofold. Okay. Going on for thermal expansion. Again, I am repeating, the gypsum bonded investment type 1 and type 3 undergoes thermal expansion. So, again in thermal expansion, the ingredient which promotes the thermal expansion again here is the silica. I already mentioned various allotropes of silica, out of which cristobalite undergoes the maximum thermal expansion. So, the important ingredient of a gypsum bonded investment is cristobalite. To a certain extent, we use quartz. So, based on the refractory material, you classify the gypsum product also into cristobalite based investment material or quartz based investment material. So, this thermal expansion which happens in type 1 investment ranges from 1 to 1.6%. So, seeing all these types of expansion, the normal setting expansion, the hygroscopic setting expansion and the thermal expansion, what are the advantages of this investment material? As you all see, the first and foremost important advantage is it promotes the expansion of the mold space to fabricate a desired prosthesis toward accurate size casting. Thereby, it compensates for the wax shrinkage as well as the metal shrinkage which is happening in the procedure, casting procedure. The next advantage of an investment material is it is porous, so it allows easy escape of gases around it so that we get a smooth casting. Other important advantage of an investment material is it is cost effective. The setting time can be easily controlled and it doesn't decompose when heated to or subjected to high temperature to a certain extent. So let us move into the limitations of the gypsum bonded material or the investment material. The biggest limitation is gypsum bonded investment material cannot be used for high fusing dental alloys or high fusing any other dental casting alloys or gold alloys for that matter. The reason behind it is once you heat above 650 or 700 degrees Celsius, the gypsum bonded investment material contains calcium sulfate as well as the silica, the refractory material. This calcium sulfate and silica starts reacting itself to release the sulfur gases along with the traces of carbon residues which comes from the wax pattern burnout procedure. So this carbon and the sulfur gases will contaminate the casting of the gypsum bonded investment material casted procedure. So to avoid this, generally you do gypsum bonded investment material only for low fusing gold alloys and you avoid using gypsum bonded investment material for higher noble metal alloys or base metal alloys. So what is an alternative for casting base metal alloy? If I want to do a restoration made of base metal, what is the material of choice instead of gypsum bonded because of this limitation? So the next alternative material is the higher strength material, which is your phosphate bonded investment and ethyl silicate bonded investment. Our next class, we will discuss about the phosphate bonded investment material, how it is used, what are its advantages over the gypsum bonded investment, and how are we going to use this material to fabricate a restoration using your base metal alloys. Thank you.